And welcome back to On the Shelf, where we take a look at the latest news from the world of comics, collectibles, toys, and all things pop culture. And today, we're heading back to the sewers in New York City because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans have some big things to look forward to. IDW Publishing has just pulled back the curtain on some of its plans for the Turtles in 2027. And while the publisher says there are even more announcements lurking in the shadows, we already have a couple of major pieces of news to talk about. We're getting a new creative team on the flagship Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, and the saga of The Last Ronin is heading towards its epic conclusion. So, I'm Simon. Thanks for joining me, and let's jump in, shall we? First up, when the flagship Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series reaches issue number 25 in 2027, the book will be getting a new creative team. Current writer Gene Luen Yang will be passing the proverbial bow staff to the award-winning writer Matthew Rosenberg, with artist Juann Cabal joining him on the series, much like Jason Aaron did after the first 12-issue run that came to an end, which initially kicked off the soft reboot for IDW. And if you're familiar with Rosenberg's work, you know he's no stranger to big superhero stories. His credits include projects like If Destruction Be Our Lot, Spawn, Uncanny X-Men, but my all-time favorite of his books is Four Kids Walk Into a Bank, a great series from Black Mask Studios, which is a darkly comedic graphic novel about kids planning a heist to save a parent. But what makes this announcement particularly interesting is just how personal TMNT is for Rosenberg. He's a lifelong resident of New York City, the home of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and his love for the character goes all the way back to his childhood. According to Rosenberg, he was already spending his time reading superhero comics before a clerk at his local comic shop convinced him to pick up an issue from the original Eastman and Laird Mirage run. And that was it. He was hooked. Rosenberg says that he's followed the Turtles ever since, making this opportunity to work on the franchise something of a dream come true. And based on his comments, it sounds like he's looking to bring a little bit of everything fans love about the TMNT series. We're talking gritty, shell against the wall action, laugh out loud humor, non-stop intensity, and of course plenty of family drama. Basically all the ingredients that make TMNT, well, Turtles. The story Rosenberg and Cabal are bringing to the book sounds like it could be a wild one. The greatest roster of villains, both new and old, will come together to hunt down the Turtles over a course of a single night. And I have to say, the premise immediately grabs my attention. There's something about putting the Turtles against an overwhelming number of enemies, forcing them to survive one long night in New York City that feels perfectly suited for this franchise. In my mind, think Escape from New York, but also think of the video games that are always there. They're constantly being bombarded. So, it's also worth noting that Rosenberg is stepping into some pretty big shoes. The TMNT Classics Comics has been guided by a number of talented creators over the years, including Eric Larson, Jim Lawson, Sophie Campbell, Tom Waltz, Jason Aaron, and Freddie E. Williams II, just to name a few. That's quite a legacy to follow. Don't forget, you also have those who created it, Kevin Eastman and Laird, right? But Rosenberg seems to understand exactly what he's walking into. And for fans who have enjoyed Gene Luen Yang's run, and again, if I am butchering that name, I am sorry, there's some good news. Yang isn't disappearing from the world of TMNT. While he's leaving the flagship series to work on the creator-owned project, he says he's excited to continue following the Turtles as a fan. And he has some pretty strong words of encouragement for Rosenberg, saying that he believes Matthew is going to knock it out of the park. That's a pretty great endorsement, I think. But that's not the only news when it comes to Turtles. It is the best-selling Last Ronin saga is also returning next summer for what promises to be its biggest chapter yet. And if you've been following the Roninverse, this is where things get really interesting. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin III Return to New York will reunite the original creative team for the conclusion of the main trilogy. That team includes Kevin Eastman, Tom Waltz, Isaac and Ezra Escorza, Ben Bishop, Luis Antonio Delgado, and Sean Lee. And this isn't just another chapter. This is being positioned as a accumulation of the grand plans of the Roninverse and its next generation of heroes. That includes characters like Casey Marie Jones, Auden, Moja, Uno, and Yi. If you haven't been reading, you gotta get in there. For fans who have been interested in this alternate future of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this is clearly shaping up to be a major event. Tom Waltz reflected on the journey, explaining that when he and Kevin Eastman first sat down to create The Last Ronin, they hoped readers would love the story as much as they did. Obviously, fans did, and that success has grown into something much bigger. We've now seen prequels, sequels, and additional stories that have expanded what fans are affectionately calling the Roninverse. And now the main trilogy is coming to its conclusion. But Waltz isn't just asking whether this story can deliver a satisfying ending. He's asking whether these new heroes will prove themselves worthy of standing alongside the legendary Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles who came before them. And that is a pretty fascinating question, because The Last Ronin has always been about legacy. It's about what happens after the original heroes are gone. It's about grief, it's about survival, and ultimately, it's about whether the next generation can pick up the mantle and become something greater than the circumstances they've inherited. So, bringing this trilogy to a close isn't just about ending another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story. It's about completing a story that has spent years exploring what the future of the Turtles could look like. And Kevin Eastman's comments made it even more significant. Eastman reflected on the fact that this entire journey began nearly 40 years ago with a simple 25-page outline he created with Peter Laird. From those humble beginnings came one of the most recognizable comic book franchises in history. And now, decades later, Eastman is helping guide the franchise into an entirely new generation. That's pretty much incredible if you think about it. And there's still more to come. Now here's the things that get really interesting. IDW isn't stopping with these announcements. The publisher says that more major reveals will leap out of the shadows, later this year regarding its plans for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2027. So while we know that Matthew Rosenberg and Juann Cabal will be taking over the flagship series, and we know that Last Ronin III Return to New York is coming to bring the main Roninverse trilogy to a conclusion, there are apparently still more surprises waiting for fans. And honestly, that's probably the best way to handle TMNT news. Keep a few secrets hidden in the shadows, let the fans speculate, and then when the time is right, unleash the next big announcement. In the meantime, there are still some major Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle milestones on the horizon. The massive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 300 will kick off the first part of the blockbuster story, The City That Never Dies. And fans will also be getting an action-packed, oversized one-shot, TMNT, The Last Ronin Training Day. So, if you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, there's clearly a lot to look forward to. We've got a new creative team bringing a fresh energy to the main series. We've got a final chapter of the Last Ronin trilogy on the way, and we've got even more announcements waiting somewhere out there. For a franchise that's been around for nearly 4 decades, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles certainly aren't slowing down. If anything, they're just started on their next chapter. And that's going to do it for this edition of On the Shelf from Constant Collectible. What do you guys think about Matthew Rosenberg taking over the flagship Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series? I'm excited. Are you excited to see what Rosenberg and Cabal will bring to the Turtles? What are your thoughts on the Last Ronin trilogy? Have you been reading it? What do you think about it reaching its conclusion? And are you ready to see the Roninverse come to an end, or do you think there's still more story left to tell? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and be sure to follow Constant Collectible for all your comic book news, reviews, collectibles, and pop culture coverage. And as always, keep collecting, keep reading, and we'll see you on the shelf. And as he always says,
God, I love being a turtle!